Son of a Snitch is about a son that his father snitches on his drug crew, and the streets rebel against him and beat him up, slap him up, beat him down.
Now wait a minute, did they beat up the drug dealer or the snitch?
No, his father was a snitch on his drug crew. The father goes to jail, then he gets killed, but the streets retaliate on the son, and they start beating up on him, slapping him up. Then he rebels against being picked on, and eventually he becomes a snitch killer.
A snitch killer. So this is
a killer of snitches.
A killer of snitches.
That's why I titled it.
So is this a murder mystery then?
No, it's about a son that his father snitched on his drug crew. He rebelled against being beat up and beat down, and he retaliated with becoming a snitch killer.
Is this a reflection of you?
No. My first book that I wrote titled...
Hold up book. Okay.
It's titled, It Was All in the Cards, The Life and Times of Midtown Mike, is my life story that I wrote about my life growing up on the streets of Midtown Manhattan during the early 80s, where I grew up around pimps, prostitutes, and con men. How I got into writing was I read a book called Man, Child in the Promised Land by Claude Brown when I was 12 years old. And when I finished that book moved me so much that I knew one day I was going to be a writer. And I used to tell people, throughout my life, one day I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. And I even told my mother, Ma, one day I'm going to write a book. She said, whatever the brain could conceive, you can achieve.
Right. And
I kept this dream alive while I was running around on the streets, playing three-card monte, beating people out of their money. And
wait a minute, hold the horses. What age were you doing three-card monte with?
I was 16 years old.
16 years of age.
And I was the guy with his hat turned backwards saying, hey, New York, New York, New York, I'm back. Who saw the red card just like that? Cherry, cherry, like in strawberry. 20 get you 40, 40 get you 80, and 80 might get you a nice lady. But I just had my hat turned backwards. And it's funny that I'm on it feels good to be on a show called The New Yorker, because I used to always say, hey, New York, New York, New York, and I wind up with my first show.
Now, did you have a shill out in the crowd?
That's another story.
That's another story?
Yeah, you'll find that out in the book. This guy's trying to get me hurt.
No, I'm not getting you hurt.
Yes, but it's that, three-card monte, you see this game played on the streets of Midtown, especially back in the early 80s. Like, you walk by, you see a big crowd around, and I was the guy, beating the people out of their money. And I was good, I must say. I was real good. But you know what? It took me a long time to learn that beating people out of their money and getting over on people, karma comes back to you. If you do dirt will come back to you. So eventually, I got off the streets when I was about 22 years old, and I've been off the streets now 20 years. I'm a state law enforcement officer, 19 years, and I changed my life around. Whoa. That's what this book is about.
All right, now wait a minute. You went from three-card monte to
being a state law enforcement officer. I worked for the state for 19 years. I'm not going to say what facility, because I can't have people calling my job.
So you work for a correctional institution?
Facility. Yes, I've been doing that 19
so you met all your friends coming in the front door.
And yes. Yes.
What they say when they saw you?
They're glad that I changed my life around.
Oh, they were glad.
They're glad, that somebody made it out off the streets. See, I grew up without a father, and a lot of kids that's growing up without fathers out there, they learn sometimes on the street, and sometimes they learn the hard way. So I had to learn through trial and error.
So what got you off the streets? Giuliani?
No, a good woman.
A good woman.
And having sons and wanting to be a good father to my sons. I have a son 23 and I have a son 20, and they're in college, they're doing good, and they learn from my mistakes, just like it was all in the cards, The Life and Times of Midtown Mike, if you read my book.
Okay, we'll get to that. Okay, did your sons read your books?
Oh, yes, they read it twice. And people out there.
Did you give them a test?
Yes, because let me tell you, one time when they was little, I took them to Rikers Island to the Scared Straight program. They thought they thought I was taking them to school, but I took them to Rikers Island, and they had to spend the whole day there.
Right.
when they got off that bus at 4 o'clock, they shot off the bus. They got in the car and they were so nervous and sick. Daddy, I'll never go to jail. I'll never go to jail. A guy threw stuff in my face. They took my sneakers. One guy had arms like tree trunks.
Yeah, okay.
I said, don't go to jail.
What age did you take them?
My son one was about 13 and the other one was about like 9.
Did you have to kick their butts to get them in line? Huh?
Huh? No, because I didn't believe in, putting my hands on my kids.
How did you have an influence on your son so they didn't get themselves involved in the stupidity that you did?
By being there for them, being in their lives, because they know a lot of their friends, the fathers wasn't there. I was there for my kids, and I was consistent with my discipline.
Okay.